All right, so I was asked about my core principles when it comes to bodybuilding versus straight up strength training. It's a really good question because they couldn't be more different. Bodybuilding is about mind muscle connection, challenging the muscle in ways that will cause development. It is much more of an internal process for me as far as when I actually got good at it. Um, I'm not bodybuilding currently, but if I'm in a bodybuilding phase, that's how I describe it. There are many different types of workouts you can do. You can focus on nucleus upgrade or fiber damage from heavy weight or negatives. So I'm not talking about the modalities right now. I'm talking about the big key core difference. The difference is bodybuilding is about internally your pathways to a muscle and how well you can control it. Oftentimes taking a lighter weight, putting it in a disadvantaged position, flexing harder throughout the reps. In other words, you're making it a lot harder. So you're going to get less reps with less weight, but you're going to get more muscle development. And you need to be using your mind and feeling what's going on in the muscle and controlling it to max out on what you're doing with any bodybuilding exercise. Whereas with pure strength, it's very, very different. It's not about over. In fact, it's much more external. It's like, how can I get this thing from here to there? And you don't have to think about. In fact, that would just slow you down. Trying to think about which muscle's doing what and trying to control it exactly. Granted, the technique on certain lifts could use adjustment here and there, sure, but it's a totally different experience because you're just trying to get the weight from point A to point B, however it's possible. There's more nervous system efficiency, angles of bones and tendons involved, inertia, things of this nature, adrenaline. Um, so yeah, I mean, to me, bodybuilding, when I do it, when I got to where I could do it well, on any exercise that lends itself safely to doing with your eyes closed, I actually taught myself a lot by doing the reps, doing the sets with my eyes closed, focusing on that mind muscle connection. I also got a lot better at bodybuilding doing it alone. So you don't have external factors about what you look like and who's watching and anything like that, because that's all distracting mental electrical energy away from your muscles where you want it. It's an internal process of control. The nervous system is what's controlling, right? The consciousness is telling the nervous system where to send that energy, what to control. The more you can focus and concentrate, the higher quality your reps, the higher quality your sets. Now you're getting somewhere. Whereas if you're just weightlifting and wondering why you're not getting good bodybuilding results, it's because you're doing it externally. You're just moving away from here to there. And your body, without you thinking about it, will find the most efficient way to do that, or it'll at least try to. And therefore, another description here is to point out that bodybuilding is all about inefficiency. It's about how much of a struggle you can make it on the muscle. So the muscle has to mutate because of what it's been through. Whereas pure strength is about efficiency, efficiency of muscle recruitment, nervous system firing patterns, inertia, like I say, position of bones, angles of tendons, and so forth. And it's an external activity where your attention is outward on moving an object. Whereas for me, good bodybuilding, your attention is inward. You're not even really thinking about the object during the set. You're thinking about the muscle. You're in the muscle, developing that mind muscle connection and control, making the muscle work harder, making it go through things that, you have to really put effort and creativity into even making it that challenging so that the muscle has a reason to mutate. Okay? Those are the core principle differences to me. Um, I spent, well, I can't say I spent years, but from time to time over the years, I would check out online content about weightlifting or strength training or bodybuilding, and I never saw anybody explain these things ever. Eventually, I noticed it was all the same stuff just being rehashed on a loop. Like, people have a short memory, so you know, HIT comes back in style, and then it's volume, and then it's this, and then it's that, and it just keeps going around in circles. Now it's full body, then it'll be splits, then it'll be this and then it'll be that. And it's always the same things going around, people acting like it's new, but it's not. So my personal breakthroughs, I find value. But because I discovered those authentically, they really connect with me and I'm able to use them well. I'm not sure if my words are doing this a service, but when you asked me, I knew that's what I wanted to tell you, is I discovered that truly good bodybuilding is more of an internal experience of what you're doing with the muscle itself. And truly good, just max strength, is a much more external experience of getting excited and lining up all your energy just right to get an object from A to B. I would say that bodybuilding requires much more work, to be honest. And pure strength training is more fun, to be honest. But they both have their place, and if you go back and forth between the two over the years, they both. Um, it's kind of like taking a right foot step forward, left foot step forward. They serve each other well. If you build more muscle mass during a bodybuilding phase, it's not going to be at its strongest when you switch right back to a pure strength phase, but you can quickly train your nervous system to start using that additional muscle mass more efficiently to move weight from A to B. And if you've done a lot of really heavy lifting, but you've never really had an internal focus on how to work the muscle harder just to get muscle gains, that strength you have is going to help. It's that much easier to put good force through a muscle when it is stronger and it's used to heavier weight. But you still have to go internal and you still have to make that connection. And good bodybuilding, really, I'm not saying don't ever lift heavy, that's part of it. But a lot of it is forgetting about the ego and forgetting about how things look. And if you want to do better, if you could shut out the whole world and everybody else and just be inside the muscle, um, it's experiencing what the muscle is and concentrating your consciousness on putting more force and exertion through that muscle. That's when you'll get better results. You make your rep set, you make your sets count, you make your reps count, you make your sets count, and now you're actually making a difference over time. Again, about the internal and external thing, there's people that follow a bodybuilding program, right? So they go to the gym and they're like reading a paper. 4 sets of this, okay, and they do their sets. 4 sets of that, and they do these workout programs, and they're disappointed with the results because they think following an external formula is what's going to make the difference. Whereas somebody who's better at bodybuilding could get more out of one set than that person who followed that whole program. Because it's not about the number and it's not about counting reps and check marking which exercises you did nearly as much as it's about what were those reps like. Where was your focus and concentration, and how well were you really controlling, manipulating, and putting more force through that muscle and challenging it? All right, that's all on that for now. Let me know. Let me know if any of that clicks. Over and out for now. Much love.